Good evening, everybody. It is 7:12 on March the 24th. Seems like it was in the long distance that it was Christmas Eve. Here we are at Council Chambers. We've got Councillor Bain and myself and CFO Rook and Carla is with us as well as recorder. And online we've got Councillors Abbott and Cunliffe, who called in first and have a vote, and Councillor Barmayer, who is attending but technically does not have a vote, and CAO John is on as well as Public Works Manager Jaffer. So with that, I'm going to acknowledge the agenda and call to order and ask for a motion to adopt the agenda as is. Councillor Bain is in favor. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anybody not in favor, speak up. Carried unanimously. Public participation, there is none. So we will go right to item number 4, which is bylaws. Parks Regulation Bylaw number 44, 2012, Amendment Bylaw number 576, 2020. And Parks Regulation Bylaw number 488, 2012, Amendment Bylaw number 576, 2020 be introduced and given 3 readings. I will stop there before I put forward that motion and turn it over to the CAO. And if you could go from there, Peter.
Okay, my apologies for there being no report accompanying this, but I think that it was in tune with what the purpose of this. I'll just recap what that is. If you go to page 12 of 44 in the passage, section 10.2 of the bylaw provides the village manager with the ability to close any park or community facility, and however, the provisions within that are a little bit weak, and they do not include restricting the number of persons in a park or a community facility, and some of the bases upon which the order is made also I felt could be enhanced to reflect illness, injury from any other cause, public health orders, etc., etc. I want to ensure that we have good authority for what we do, and so that was sort of a starting point. I made the amendment that you see there, as well as keeping the definition of nuisance and ordering this activity to provide for wider requirements for applications, sorry, and a couple of other just small bits and pieces, but then I also ran the amendments past solicitors, make sure they were appropriate and that wasn't missing anything. Got word back that they thought that was the right thing to do. Just to clarify, for example, the public health officer order regarding gatherings of 50 people or more is an order which can really be enforced against the landowner, i.e. us. It's not enforced against groups of individual people. So the RCMP, for instance, wanted to see that we had bylaws that they could assist with enforcing. So this is going to ensure that what we ask the RCMP to help us enforce the bylaws, as well as our bylaw enforcement officers, then we're in a much better place if we've got the appropriate wording in place. So that's why that was brought forward. If I can just keep going and just talk quickly about the bylaw enforcement bylaw amendments. If you turn to page 32 of 44, you'll see the highlighted provisions that apply. and basically taking penalty for non-compliance from $90 to $200, from $100 to $250, with early penalty payment of $200 and a late penalty payment of $300. And I just, for the sake of having something that was a little bit more oomph than what was previously there, I just threw out this number. Council can certainly go with a different number, with whatever you think is appropriate. I didn't want to go all the way to the max, which is $500 under this bylaw. And generally speaking, that would be if $500 for late payment penalty. So usually if you're going to do that, you say $450 is the penalty, $500 late, $400 early. Anyways, certainly open to whatever you think is appropriate there. And I'll stop talking for now.
Okay, thank you. Then here's what we'll do. CAO DeJong, since I've read the first bylaw, which is the A, so I will put forward the motion that it go to 3 readings in a second. I'll ask for a seconder, and then we'll go to discussion, and we'll go alphabetically, and we'll close that off, and then go to the B, which is the enforcement. So to recap what I just said, I've already read the bylaw, Parks Regulation bylaw. I put forward the motion for 3 readings tonight. Can I have a second, please? Thank you. I have one from Councillor Bain, and I'll open this up for discussion, starting with Councillor Abbott.
Yes, thanks, Ron. First of all, I'm just going to suggest that I won't do any more seconding motions. Let yourself and Fred do that in the room, unless it's complete silence. On page 9, let's scroll up and down for me for the correction to get it in the page, but on page 9 we introduce this larger than 20 people. Here we're talking about nuisance and not necessarily what we currently hope dealing with. Then in section 10.2 we don't give a number. So this is really a question to Peter. When we're putting a number forward, it's purely around the nuisance thing. We're not going to restrict ourselves to larger than 20 people if it's a sort of health violation situation. Correct?
CAO?
Essentially, two things that we can rely upon. Number one, if we're closing the park, we're closing the park, and the number of people is irrelevant. Number two, if we're keeping a park or lands, which would include trails, open, then numbers matter. So in terms of that, we could, for example, keep a park or a trail open, and as long as we are capable of limiting the number of people in that space to no greater than 50 people in terms of being a gathering, as that's defined, and provided that those people can coexist at least in the park. I didn't introduce the 20 people provision regarding section 8.1. That was the definition of organized activity has the word regarding groups larger than 20 people. So 8.1 is an additional provision in terms of our ability to restrict the number of people in a given instance. We can either go under 8.1 if the space is such that there really shouldn't be more than 20 people, or we could just go under general the general provision that we are required by the public health officer to ensure that no more than 50 people are in close proximity to one another at any given time on our lands.
Okay, yeah, I'm just, all I was trying to make clear in my own mind is, today's 50 might be tomorrow's 15, and we don't have a limit. I think 10.2s, where it says the number of persons we park at any given time without a number, is really, 10.2 is really what we're trying to deal with here at the moment, of how we want to restrict people's access regardless of numbers. Is it, am I reading correct?
Yeah, 10.2 enables us to close or restrict the number of people in the park at any given time, and it doesn't set out a number. So that would be my discretion in accordance with whatever guidelines and directives were out there from the health officials or the province. So I could make an order in respect of any particular park or trail that no more than 5 people in close proximity to one another, if that's what the government is telling us to do. So 10.2 has latitude. And that's the primary provision that we're going to be relying upon.
Okay, I guess that answers my question. So that was the only comments or questions I had.
So, Councillor Abbott, just to bring that circle back in, you asked a number of questions, you got them back, and did you and the CAO agree on a change or leaving it as is?
I think you can stay as is. I just wanted to understand make sure we all understood what we were saying. Well, I understood what you said.
Okay, so just again, to be clear, so you got your answers, and as is fine.
Correct.
Thank you. We'll come back and again, after we circle, Councillor Bain, any questions on this particular item?
No, I'm good as is as well.
Okay, good as is. Councillor Barmeyer? Can we have your thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
I think it's sorry. I just had to unmute to use my phone. I think it's okay. I have something else to say later, but I'm okay with the way the bylaw is.
As it is, thank you very much, Councillor Barmeyer. Councillor Cunliffe?
I'm good to have it written, but my suggestion is that if we're increasing the fines for those 4 points, should we not include 10.1 in the park outside open hours, unauthorized entry into the park? 9.3, 10.1, 10.3, 11.1, 11.2, 11.3.
Okay, thank you. CAO, your comment?
Maybe even 11.4, obstruct or delay enforcement officer.
Fines?
Yes.
Councillor Cunliffe, you're talking
Yes,
about the fines?
fines.
Yep.
Correct, yeah.
CAO?
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Councillor Cunliffe, could you run through those one more time?
Essentially, from the top of page 32, beginning with bylaw section 448 operate motorized watercraft. So those first 2 are already $250 fines. Include unauthorized entry to closed park, in park outside open hours, and obstruct or delay enforcement officer, and while we're at it, why not throw in urinate, defecate in park? Those are all, well, one is certainly a public health issue.
CAO, your response?
Yeah, as I said, I'm open to whatever council thinks is appropriate in terms of fines. Those are logical suggestions from my perspective. I think probably we could also include 12.2 camp in park in the circumstances, especially if it's closed.
I would agree with that as well, yes.
All right, any other points, Councillor Cunliffe?
Nope.
Thank you very much. I'd like to turn up before we go around once more. Thank you, Councillor Cunliffe, for bringing those out. Good catch. I certainly like the picking and uniformity of all this and not separating the value of defecation versus obstruction of the enjoyment of the park. So thank you very much. I'm with Councillor Cunliffe's amendments, I am fine. Back to Councillor Abbott, one more try.
Thanks, Ron. Yeah, I thought you said we'd deal with the fines separately, so I haven't spoken about those, although I did have some comments. For me, I'm not suggesting that the other increases suggested should not go ahead, but I kind of felt that 10.3 into remaining the closed or restricted park should, given our current circumstances, be of a higher penalty. Or potentially there's another line that says into or remain in the closed and restricted park under a healthcare order or something to that effect. And you make that one the max, so it kind of stands out there. Because given where we are coming today, I mean that's really what we're trying to stop.
Good. CAO, your thoughts?
Yeah, I could see the logic behind having a maximum penalty for 10.3.
Okay. And
But,
Councillor Abbott, how are you going to articulate that?
If we just want to carry on.
Okay, just to Councillor Abbott's point, at the moment we've only done or put forward a motion with respect to this amendment bylaw. So why don't we finish off with that one and then come back to the second bylaw, which deals with the fines?
Okay, so then we'll, all right, so Councillor Abbott, thank you very much. Councillor Bain, any comments?
I'm good with the first one.
Good. Councillor Barmeyer, your point of view on this?
Yeah, I'm good so far.
Thank you. Councillor Cunliffe, your point of view?
Good so far here too.
Good, okay, and I concur with it is, and I'm going to call a motion in a second, and then go to the vote. If there's no other questions, then now would be the time to ask. There being none, I'll call a motion. All those not in approval, please voice your disapproval. Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We go to the next item, which is...
I understand your logic in asking it that way, but I just feel more comfortable if you would ask all in favor and then say any opposed or all opposed.
Thank you.
Just to keep within our procedures.
Thank you, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Jedi Master. Thank you very much. All right, so thank you very much, Peter. Next one, bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 385-206, 2006, amendment bylaw number 577, 2020, that bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 385-2006, amendment bylaw number 577, 2020, be introduced and given 3 readings. We'll follow the same format as previously. I'll put forward the motion. I'll ask for a second. We'll go to discussion. Peter, you can lead the first piece, and then we'll go through alphabetically with the councillors. As indicated before, I put forward the motion for 3 readings of this bylaw as I previously indicated. Do I have a second? Councillor Bain is second. I'll move to discussion. CAO De Jong, any further comments?
Okay, so just to recap, on page 32 of 44 are the provisions in question with respect to fines associated with breaching provisions of the park bylaw. There have been suggestions made to increase as well as the ones that are before you, section 9.3 and 10.1. 11.4, 11.5, and 12.2 to match the ones that are before you at 10.3, 11.1, 11.2, and 11.3 of $250 for penalty, $200 for early payment, $300 for late payment. There was also a suggestion that section 10.3 10.3, that the fine for that one be singled out for the maximum penalty permitted under the bylaw of $450 with a late payment penalty of $500 and an early payment penalty of $400. And I turn it over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, CAO. Back to Councillor Abbott. You're first up, Councillor Abbott. Any points of discussion?
No additional ones to what I said, other than that the other option I'd given was that you went at 10.3 and a subsequent one that said into or remain in the closed restricted park during a public health risk, and you make that the maximum fine so that it just jumps out from the rest. But I'm not only concerned with which way we do it, but we emphasize that.
Okay, then, so to just briefly repeat, you want to just strike one and go with the other? Did I get that right? No?
No.
So, yes.
I think maybe Jean can comment on what I've suggested unless I'm really confused how it's written.
I'm questioning because I thought your preference was for the 10.2 being the stronger wording and the 20 people less relevant.
It was the 10.3 be a heavier penalty.
Okay.
The ultimate was to have a second 10.3 or the 10.3A that specifically says the maximum levied during a public health risk or words to that effect. So that it's different to remaining in the park to camp overnight. And it applies now in these current circumstances, doesn't necessarily apply in some. Or when there's not a public health risk.
I think we would actually have to go back and amend section 10.3 such that it has two different prohibitions. One is a general prohibition, and there would have to be a second prohibition specifically in circumstances related to a public health order that restricts access or doesn't restrict access to our park. It's just it would be information that would be relevant to our basis for closing any park or trail. As it's written now, I don't know that we could have two separate fines for one section of the code bylaw that doesn't distinguish between those circumstances.
Okay.
So, Councillor Abbott, okay, being as you're happy with as it is?
I would be happy if we just increased 10.3 in this case to the next, as was previously suggested.
Good, and if I can ask just for the rest of us, CAO DeJong, your final comment on that?
Yeah, my final comment would be, I think that's the way to go for now. When we get to the point in time, in the hopefully not too distant future, where this is behind us, we can adjust this penalty back down to something in line with the rest.
All right, so we'll, for both of you then, so we'll presume it's as amended, correct?
Yes.
CAO?
Yeah.
Thank you. Are you concluded, Councillor Abbott?
I am. Over to others.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bain?
Yeah, I agree with the changes. Fine.
As is, good. Thank you, Councillor Bain. Councillor Barmeyer?
Yeah, sorry, I do have some thoughts here, and I think they're going to be a little bit, maybe not super tangible, but the idea here is to send a message to people not to congregate in the park, and a harmless bylaw adjustment is a good place to start, but I think we need to try and make the news. That's the goal here, is to get a message out there not to come to our parks. To have a mechanism in place to fine people and give tickets, that's all fine to have that legal framework. But the goal here is to actually actively dissuade congregation. So how do we do that? How do we get that message out? Is it with a fine that makes the news? Is it with a bylaw that has real teeth that makes the news? I mean, ultimately, it has to be meaningful, whatever it is we do. So, you know, that's sort of my 2 cents worth. I think, you know, changing the amendment or amending the bylaw is great, and maybe beefing up the fines a little bit, but I don't know if that's going to make headlines and keep people out.
Chair, can I speak to that?
Yes, please?
Yeah.
I think everybody agrees with your sentiments, Councillor Barmeyer. Ultimately, that is the objective here. We're addressing the enforcement side of things for both bylaw enforcement officers and RCMP to the extent they're able to assist us. But ultimately, yes, and there will be some discussion enclosed on enforcement considerations, but certainly it's anticipated that from today going forward, we will be looking at putting together a media release that covers off all of the steps that council wants to proceed with, and making sure that that media release is circulated as widely as we can, both through traditional news media such as television and newspapers, as well as through social media channels. So that is something we are already anticipating pushing out in as many ways as we can to stop people from coming in the first place.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments, Councillor Barmeyer?
No.
Good, thank you. Councillor Cunliffe?
My only comment would be that I think that we increase that one fine, leave that in place, because that could apply to wildfire season. So we do need to shut people down. If people do still go down to the Kelvin Grove Beach in the midst of wildfire season, and I find it burned up logs of people having fires on the beach. So my thought would be to just keep that in place moving forward. It covers off, ticks a couple boxes.
Good, and just for me, as I'm flipping through here, what number is that?
That's 10.3, the one that Neville was suggesting.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, gotcha.
I think it's just, if it's closed, it's closed.
Done. All right, any other comments, Councillor Cunliffe?
No.
Good, my turn, I have none. I'll give everybody else one last chance in the CAO to close. Anybody, any other comments, questions? Take that as no. CAO, any final comments before I call a motion?
No.
Okay, I'll call a motion. All in favor, I will presume all are in favor. Those opposed, please acknowledge themselves.
I think Peter was wanting the affirmation.
Oh, try, Obi-Wan, could you help me?
In favor.
All in favor, please confirm. Any opposed, please advise.
In favor.
In favor.
In favour.
Thank you. Nobody opposed? Carried. Carried unanimously, thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much. So we'll see those changes next time on Thursday, correct, CAO?
Sorry, say that again?
We'll see this again on Thursday for final reading.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Should we have done this as amended? Because we amended the
Well,
rates, did we not?
Sorry, we amended what?
Amended the
I
rates.
thought we amended the rates, so when it was read, but when we passed it, shouldn't it be as amended?
Yeah, was it not?
No. And you got all the amendments, Carla, with the rates?
Yeah, just the 10.3, an increase, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I heard Councillor Cunliffe say as amended, and then Mayor McLaughlin confirmed yes.
Okay.
So that's what I thought was being.
I thought that too.
Okay, no, my apologies. I
Okay,
misheard.
but I was stumbling on my clothes there, so all right, thank you very much. Okay, next topic. Thank you very much, CFO.
Sorry, and that's inclusive of the increase to those other points as well,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Did you get 10 or did you just get one?
No,
I think we need clarity on that. We're
Okay.
not quite
Yeah.
sure what rates have changed other than 10.3.
The suggestion was that we increase
11.
9.3 unauthorized entry to closed park, 10.1 in park outside open hours, 11.4 obstruct or delay enforcement officer, 11.5 urinate defecate in park. Those all being brought into alignment with the $250 fine structure, and 10.3 being increased to the maximum of $450.
And 12.2,
12.2.
12.2?
12.2, correct, yes.
Okay, I know that we had gone over that. I'm very sure we made the vote based as amended, and I think we've definitely got it hammered down now.
okay.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And so let's go on to the new business piece, which is discussion on closure of parks, trails, open space, and other municipal facilities. And CAO, can you start us on this, please? And
Perhaps we could start with the Lions Bay Beach parking lot. And whether or not we close it. There's enforcement issues, and they would be difficult to deal with other than on weekends when we have bylaw enforcement officers. Residents can always park on the street. But I think that if the marina stays open, non-resident owners are going to need a place to park, and their ideal customers, as they're not trying to access the beach park, they're just going to go in the water and park for multiple days. So I'm suggesting that we, council, consider strongly keeping that parking lot open and keeping the meter in it, or installing the meter as per usual. And alternatively, we could look at entering into some kind of arrangement with the marina for their customers and not metering the parking lot. I'm just not sure the doing it that way. We'd have to perhaps seek some legal advice to make sure we're staying within our jurisdictional boundaries.
anything, why don't we go item by item on this, if that's fine with everybody. And so there, Peter's given us a background, so we'll go back to the order on this one through the councillors alphabetically. Councillor Abbott, you're up.
Okay, the more I read what's been sent to us by the CEO and think about this and issues of bylaw enforcement, the more I think that enforcement is going to be difficult. Before going forward, I'm not suggesting we do not do something because we can't enforce it. I think we should do it anyway. But I think one of the best means of enforcement, if not controlling the issue, is the parking situation. The marina used to have an agreement with the village. I know that because on occasion I went down there to launch my boat. I was levied a fee to go park my vehicle at the parking lot, CN parking lot, which I was kind of objected to. So maybe we could just loosely agree to reinstate that so that you can take care of those people. And I understand what the CEO said that there may be some logistics issues with that. I think we get our way around that. The other thing I think we should do is, I think that we should take the seasonality out of the parking. So all enforced parking as if it was summer right now. And I think those two means are going to make it very difficult for large congregations of people to get to under control. Because they haven't got a place to park, there's a significant number of them are not going to be able to come here.
Well, some of our signage indicates May to September.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
I'm referring to, yep.
I don't think we have, and Public Works Manager Japper can step in after I've finished here, but I don't think we have the ready availability of either signage or manpower to start changing out a bunch of signs.
It wouldn't be as simple as getting some sticky decals and just drive around and paste over the May to September. The signs instantly changed. One person could do it in half a day.
That's a possibility, for sure. So I'm not quite sure with what you said, Councillor Abbott, whether you are in favor of closing this parking lot, the Lions Bay Beach parking lot, the in lot, or whether there would be provision for boat owners to park there. Like, how would we close it and still provide access to boat owners?
If I can interrupt for a second, I think for CEO DeJohn, I think that's an excellent point. You can't have it both ways on this one. Just so that maybe we can come to a faster answer by just doing a quick around the table, and just on the question of closed or not closed, and we'll see where that goes, because if we're more unanimous, then we can refine it. If we're split or apart, then we can duke it out. Would that be fine with everybody?
Sure, I'll finish off. I'm suggesting close of not only that parking lot, but others.
Okay, well, we'll just mark you as a big close for everything, and when we get to it. So, Councillor Abbott, you're a close. Councillor Bain?
I'm in favor of the closure. Just so I understand correctly, it's a closure, not permanently, but closure just for this issue.
Until further notice.
Until further notice, yeah.
Good. Thank you. That's a 2. Councillor Barmeyer, close or open?
Closed, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cunliffe?
Agreed, closed.
I am, that's Councillor, so that's 4. I will deviate ever so slightly with this kind of fun fact. Of the approximately, and Councillor Bain can correct me, 150 or 170 odd craft at the marina, could be a little higher. Only 25% of the ownership is villagers. The other ones are not of the village. So these are the guys and gals that are going off to their cabins. It strikes me as a revenue opportunity to work with the marina, because last summer when they were under extreme and we were closing the parking lot to all but temporary guests, the marina owner had limited the patrons of the marina to 1 boat, 1 car. And so he would allow that, but as is frequently the case, guests take guests. And so there's more than 1 car involved. So in terms of revenue opportunity, we could, my vote is for close, but the exception being that if there's longer term parking for the marina patrons, we could probably work that out, which the marina would be tickled with, and we would do the revenue. And when we antiseptically looked at this and say, they've dropped their stuff off at the boat, they're about to leave, they drive up, park, pay their metered for 3 days or a week, whatever it is, all card paid, and then they hop away and we don't see them for a week. And I think that would be a very desired parking opportunity. So I'll pitch that. So basically we've got 5 closes and my thought on the marina, and we'll start around with that to Councillor Abbott. Are you somewhat in favor of that?
Yeah, I'm not completely opposed to that. Logistically, another suggestion, you say the parking lot's closed, except for permits, and the marina is allowed to issue a permit for someone
I'm not trying to solve the logistics right now, but I think we've come to the close, and using the marina, which was my piece, was just a very minor caveat, which if staff wanted to pick that one up, they can think about that again. How about, Councillor Bain, do you have any further thoughts?
Yeah, just piggyback on your idea there, I think we would close it to the public and designate that parking lot as an overflow for the marina. I like Neville's idea that the marina manage the parking fees and we take a cut on it. That way we don't have any investment in it.
Okay, I'm gonna hold that one, which, let's call it metering for the CAO at the end. Metering versus third party. Councillor Barmeyer, do you have any comments?
If people see a parking lot with open spaces, they're gonna park. So I'm not sure how you guys plan to police the entry to that parking lot, who gets to go in, who doesn't get to go in, if we're actually gonna be able to ticket people. It becomes a question of enforcement. I don't know. I think at this point, we should be closing these things and preventing congregation.
If I'm trying to narrow our issues to come down to, so your issue, Councillor Barmeyer, is the optics. Either it's open or closed.
Exactly.
Okay, fine, thank you. Councillor Cunliffe?
At this point, I tend to lean towards Norm's thought. I understand the opportunity for boat owners to park there and us to benefit from revenue, but I think that's a hurdle that we need to look at closer to actually boating season and maybe revise based upon what's going to happen in the next few months. Because if it is still, we are still going to limit access or have our public space closed, and we do have people parking in a parking lot, unless we gate it and padlock it and the marina is willing to come up and unlock it for each and every one of their patrons when they come and go, where people are just going to come and do what they want to do anyway.
There you go. Thank you very much, Councillor Cunliffe. I must confess that as Councillor Bain and I are sitting here, you've actually put the silver bullet on the table. It's not boating season. There's lots of marina parking for the patrons right now, so until it's boating season, we don't need to deal with that at this point, which gives the CAO and the team opportunity to have soft discussions with the marina if it comes to that. But to cover what I think is everybody's case is that we would like the lot closed so that it's a clear close, no ifs, ands, or buts there. And if in a couple months from now, as boating season approaches, it's somehow third-partied or however the marina becomes involved, there may be a little crack for them to do the parking, but otherwise no. If I've encapsulated what I think is everybody's views, I'll presume yes unless somebody says no now.
So, just for clarity, are we talking about one parking lot at the moment till we get?
We're only
the others?
We're only at one parking lot. We're only at the LB parking lot.
No objection to that.
Okay, then, let's see, I'm going to presume everybody's in the affirmative that we close. And if there's, so I will ask for positive responses, and I'll pause and then ask for opposed. All in favor?
In favor.
Councillor
In
Abbott?
favor.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? No? CAO, are you good with the direction on this?
Yep, I understand. Probably likely to get the occasional query or request, or somebody from the marina asking about parking. And so for the time being, it is simply closed, period, until further notice, correct?
Yes, yes, entirely. From my point of view, I would suggest we leave it at your discretion. If something odd comes up, such as a large number of vehicles that are offloading, I mean, I can't even imagine why they'd be going to camp, so I'm taking that off the table. Forget that. Sorry, I'm thinking old school for a minute there. Okay, next one up is KG Beach Park. CAO, do you want to lead this one to start?
Yeah, our construction project, the wastewater treatment plant started this week, yesterday, and it's a pinch point to get into the park there. It was going to be difficult to maintain access prior to current events. It would be relatively easy to block it off at that point. Issues include railway access, trespass, which we have little opportunity to do anything about, and trail access from the Kelvin Road parking lot can also bypass the construction site. Many of the trespassers go from either the parking lot or along the tracks or both to get to the cliff jumping area. That's beyond our borders. Closure of the park would mean loss of dog walking or off-leash area for residents. But it is yeah, so that's just the park. Do you want me to just keep going with the parking lot, or just do you want to stop at the park for the moment?
Let's do the park first. Thank you. Again, let's go through the councillors. Councillor Abbott, let's try and do this and skinny it down in a general way. Are you closed or open?
Closed.
Closed. Thank you. Councillor Bain?
Closed.
Closed. Councillor Barmere?
I agree.
Closed. Councillor Cunliffe?
Yeah, we got to be uniform here. We're closing one, we close them all.
Closed. McLaughlin, I am closed as well. 2 points here. I think the first is that the piece of information is that I did call CN today, and I spoke to their media relations person in Saskatoon because they'd sent me something. I caught them unaware. I highlighted our problem. They're prepared to help us with education and programs. They're not very happy with people walking on their track. They're less happy with where they're going on the track. And they're quite prepared to dedicate enforcement capability for this too. If we were to say predetermine a time, say Saturday or Sunday at 1 o'clock, just to pick an odd number. They thought just shooting fish in a barrel would be wonderful. So I think that's a work in progress, and that's an information piece. I think it follows with what we're trying to do here, that we close this. I think if we are closing, we have closed the main beach park and the KG. Presuming the worker team is not there and our people are not otherwise disruptive, I would not be opposed if a resident was taking their walk, strolled through, did their distance.
Sorry, can I interrupt for 1 second, Mayor McLaughlin? Sorry.
Yep.
I'm going to just suggest that it would be inappropriate for us to get into the specifics of enforcement matters in respect of each of these items.
Okay.
And that discussion ought to take place in closed.
Thank you.
For a variety of reasons, and the railway thing is just one of those, but each of these may have different nuances that council may wish to discuss in detail, and I think it would not be appropriate to have that discussion in open meeting.
Thank you very much for catching me on that, and I know where we're going. Thank you. I've made a note to put that on the closed agenda, so that concludes me, and I believe CAO, that concludes the view on the KG Beach Park, which is to be closed.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, good. Now we're on to the KG parking lot, and you're better up again, CAO.
Okay, so our contractors working on the wastewater treatment plant do not, as I understand it, and Mr. Jaffer, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can accommodate them in the cul-de-sac area. Is that right, Ned?
Yes, that's correct.
Parking lot closure would affect residents who drive down to walk the dog on the beach, but if the park is closed, then that's not an issue. closure would deal with constant sources. Well, we have constant sources of issues regularly. So closing the parking lot depends on the effectiveness of our ability to close it. And again, we can have that discussion in closed on details. Closure would make the meter pointless in the short term. So if we get to a point where things change radically, we can always look at, normalizing operations. The parking lot is technically part of the park. It was so designated at the time of subdivision. So closure of the park would have the dual purpose of closing the parking lot from a technical perspective.
Thank you very much. Again, we'll follow suit as we have. This is on the KG parking lot, and we'll go through in order just for streamlineness and brevity. On open or closed, Councillor Abbott, you're first up. Your view?
Closed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bain?
Closed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Barmeyer?
Yeah, closed.
Thank you. Councillor Cunliffe?
Closed.
So you won't need your spike belt at Kelvin Grove after all.
Well, we might, if they're parking up and down the roadway.
I know we've got more than one spike belt. Thank you. McLaughlin, I am closed as well. I am closed as well. And there's one of the bullet points, which we'll bring up in camera when I make a mention of it. Okay, thank you very much. Next up, and you're good with that, CAO?
Yep.
Good, we're up to Sunset North parking lot. CAO, you're back up.
So we're waiting on responses from Ministry of Forest Lands and Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development. Sorry, I have to take a breath after saying that name. Regarding potential closure of non-provincial park crown lands. They have closed most provincial parks, but they haven't really addressed non-provincial park crown lands, including the Lions Trail. There's a lot of crown land around us, even within our boundaries. So I've asked for some responses and some indication of whether or not they intend to go in that direction, so that we can coordinate planning for ourselves and also coordinate planning with the RCMP, who also has reached out to us in terms of what they're doing. They are, currently looking at all the things that they're going to be asked to do and assessing what closures in different jurisdictions and areas is going to look like and how they will address enforcement. So I'm working at trying to coordinate those responses and that information with those agencies. If the Lions Trail remains open, I think that there's no point in us trying to close off the parking lot, as that would only push more people into the neighborhood. If we don't have the right, we do not have the right to block access if they keep it open. So we have to keep that in mind. And so if it remains open, then I think we meter it. That would be my suggestion. If they close it through a blanket closure of Crown Lands or even a specific closure of that area, then we can barricade the parking area and sign it and close it together with the meeting. Enforcement is going to depend upon which way things go. We need to get into that.
Thank you very much. And between the CAO and the CFO, I think I've been to the place many times. How many parking spots are there?
I think there's about 15.
15, with a revenue of small.
I'm just gonna ballpark and say that out of the 40 grand from last year, probably 25% was from that parking lot, 25% Calvin Grove, and 50% was going to be
25, 10 grand, huh? All right.
all
least 10 grand.
12 grand, 10, 12, okay. All right, and my piece of information that I saw in the news just before I came is that the government has closed all of the national parks. It's drive-through only. Okay, on this one, thank you very much. We can do this again the quicker way, and then if there's any questions, we can huddle back to them. Councillor Abbott, you're first up, open or closed?
I think okay, I'll go close, but I do have some thoughts and motivations because I disagree with what's recommended. So, sure, if I don't need to motivate for it being closed if everyone else agrees, but I have a feeling that this was cut and dry in others' minds, certainly more for CAO. So I'll just leave it at that for now and speak more evening.
Okay, so to recap, you were closed.
Correct.
Oh, you want to talk about it, sorry?
Which is, yes, I'm suggesting we close it. There's a fair bit of discussion, I think.
Close.
Which is not the recommendation.
Okay, first blush is closed, and more further discussion from you as you go around second down. Councillor Bean?
Well, as I understand what the CAO is suggesting, if Flinroe doesn't really deal with it, we shouldn't close it. So do we say closed, subject to Flinroe's decision?
That's CAO, do you have a point to that?
I'm not sure if I caught all of it.
So is closed subject to Flinroe?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's going to turn on is in my opinion, if they close it, then yeah, we should close it. If they keep it open, I'm not sure it makes any sense to close it.
Okay,
I think that could be more issues for the neighborhood.
so the continual 50 inches overflow into the neighborhood. Okay, thank you.
Maybe I should just speak now. I disagree with that completely. So when it gets really busy in summer, that 15 is a fraction of the number of people that are parking on Sunset Drive and Mountain Drive. The roads are, for the length of those roads, it's cars bumper to bumper. So I don't think that's the point. I think this is about trying to discourage people from coming to certain places. And as we noticed last weekend, you start shutting down things in Vancouver, more people come to the North Shore. You shut down the North Shore, more people go to Lions Bay. You shut down the beaches in Lions Bay, more people are going to go to Sunset Drive. Hiking trail, you're moving the issue to someone else's turf all the time. I think the only way to discourage people from, encourage people to do the self-isolation where it makes sense, and at the very least social distancing, is to take away parking. That's the one thing we can do regardless of what Flinroe decides to do. And back to my earlier statement, and I don't want to get into enforcement now, I guess we'll talk about later. I think we should shut the parking lot.
All right, Councillor Bean, Abbott, I'm holding you here. You're now a strong close. You're a strong close. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Bean, any readjustment of thought? No? Councillor Barmeyer?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Abbott. We've got to send a really strong message that the village is closed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cunliffe?
I agree with Councillor Barmier and Councillor Abbott.
Thank you, and I do as well. That's us. So we are a close on that one. And I think that we should give the heads up to the community through a little piece in the village update of what's likely to transpire. I think that's what we can do from an information piece, and with bylaw enforcing, that's the secondary results. Is that a good common view for everybody?
Yeah.
No.
Thank you very much. I will sneak that into the village update on Friday. And I'm pretty much, this community is the one that's going to be, the people on Sunset are the ones who are going to be somewhat affected. Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, what's the message in the village update, Ron?
That, well, we're gonna talk that the trail is Flynn Rose. They haven't said anything. We can't block it. We're sending a uniform message. We don't want people there. And to further that message, there's no parking there. And I'm giving the heads up to the local residents. It's a tough call on this one because there may be people parking where they shouldn't near their homes.
Right.
Would there be a way to, I don't know, throw up some sawhorses and caution tape and just basically essentially block the ability to park on the shoulder of the road?
Sorry, can I jump in? I think there'll be some different ideas about enforcement that we can save for the closed discussion.
Okay.
Thank you very much. CEO. So,
And, sorry, on that point, I also have some suggestions about communication. We're not waiting until Friday, but we can use that for later as well.
I'm going to leave that with you then, Councillor Abbott, unless...
I suggest we come back to that in terms of media release discussion when we're done getting through everything.
All right, between the two of you, this will be one of the pieces and where we get to it, so that'll be in camera, thank you. Sunset South Trail, which CAO?
This kind of falls into the category of other trails within Lions Bay, boundaries that go somewhere else. I simply asked council, do we want to post signage on it saying closed? Do we keep it open and post signage regarding social distancing? And in either event, we can discuss enforcement in closed. There was a holdover item from previous regarding excess signage at that location. But I would just respectfully suggest that for now we let that issue sit and either post closed or, especially if we're posting closed at that trailhead.
I agree to leave the signage issue to another time down the track. It's not really an important discussion now in foreseeable future, so let's just take that part off the table.
All right, Councillor Abbott, you're on a roll and this is your neighborhood. You're first up. What's your view?
I think Sunset South Trail, as Theo has indicated, is similar or the same as a lot of other trails. I'm on the opinion we should close them, but it comes as a little difficult because there's one little part of that trail that just leads down from one street to the other, which people included frequently walk and use our dogs. So it becomes a little awkward, but to Councillor Barnard's point, we can't create too many grey areas. So strong signage, and certainly signage that portrays to non-residents or anyone that's coming there purely to hike and use that to get to Lions Trail, because of course you can then use that to go around the other way around to come to the Lions Trail. So yeah, I think we should effectively close it, and we'll leave the enforcement for later. And I think that's the general statement on all our trails, but it comes a little more awkward with the likes of this one and Centennial, which are often used responsibly.
Councillor Abbott, perhaps it's been a while since I did that. That was basically a connecting thing to the road down below. It's more kind of a shortcut than a trail, isn't it?
Well, see, there's two things that come off the end of the cul-de-sac. One you go and you take the little shortcut you're talking about past the tennis courts down to Mountain Drive. But if you take the left-hand fork, there's what's called the Trudy's Trail now. It moves all the way around and takes you up onto the Sunset Trail. A fair hike up.
Gotcha. Okay. So just to recap.
Sorry, Sunset Trail. Onto the Lions Trail, a fair way up.
Good. So just to recap, you are a close and enforcement to be discussed later. Is that correct?
Yes. I don't see how we can't do anything else if we're trying to stop people getting to other trails.
That's correct. Okay, Councillor Bean?
I don't know the trail well enough. I would go with Councillor Abbott's.
Thank you. So that's a second as per Councillor Abbott. Councillor Barmier?
Yeah, I think we should keep a simple message that our trails are closed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cunliffe?
I'm on board.
Good.
If one's closed, it's all closed.
Good. I am the same view. Thank you very much. So we'll leave that for the CAO either later this evening or it's planned in the future on enforcement. Next one up is Centennial Trail. I tell you, this job's getting easier by the minute. All right, CAO.
So this one is a little bit tricky because it involves mixed jurisdiction between, we've got municipal lands, we've got school district 45 lands, crown lands, Modi rights of way, there's the Modi, different arm of Modi from the Brunswick pit. So a lot of different jurisdictional fingers in the pie. Closure will impact residents, subject to enforcement. Social distancing is the other option, signage either way, and enforcement issues include all the different trailheads and offshoots and access points and the length of the thing, which would make it impractical or difficult for, those are just enforcement issues that we can get into later if you like. But if I'm hearing council correctly, the direction I'm anticipating would be that it be closed and we'll worry about what everybody else thinks about that after the fact. But we can talk about that perhaps as another aspect because we're talking about other authorities having jurisdiction as well. So I suggest we just leave that more detailed discussion for closed meeting. And perhaps I can summarize for council that we conclude this item, unless you want to talk about it further, as closure subject to our ability to figure out how we get everybody else on side with that notion.
Yes, and tricky that it is. Okay, so we're going to have a fairly significant enforcement discussion later on. Councillor Abbott, you're first up again.
Yeah, with what we said earlier, Councillor Barmier, if we close on Councillor Cunliffe, we'll close them all, and you can take that on note for the next bullet point as well, on other trails.
There we go, Councillor Barmier. I'll come back to you, Councillor Bain.
Yeah, I just think very simple. These are extraordinary times, right?
Yeah.
This is something we hope to take away right away as soon as we possibly can. We remove all these closures, but the messaging has to be simple. It has to be clear that we're closing the village. Period. There's no trails. There's nowhere here to do recreation. It is closed.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bain.
Yeah, I get the point of one closed, all closed, but I think the idea is to keep people from coming in here. And I don't know if the Centennial Trail is really one that attracts outsiders. No, I don't know. I'm not quite as strong on that one as the others.
Okay, we'll come back. I'm going to give you a last chance after I speak, Councillor Bain. Councillor Cunliffe?
If one's closed, it's all closed.
Good, thank you. I'm a closed as well. I view this trail as actually a very strong limb or the spine of the village. It seems everybody does that one. I understand what the CAO has done with information. I think the image to the public outside of the village is that we're closed. And it's hard to say we're closed except for you can come here and do that because then it's going to be 10 deep and we don't want that. So I'd much rather talk about enforcement later. Councillor Bain?
I concede.
Concede? Good. We're all closed on that and talking about enforcement later. Thank you. And CAO, why don't you deal with the other trails, the Brunswick and Brunswick?
Okay, so other other trails, I'm assuming we just go with what's been said, and let's move on to Brunswick. So Brunswick Beach is not a designated park under any plan of subdivision or letters patent, but it is included by interpretation in our parks bylaw under the definition of park, which includes the foreshore. I anticipate that we are going to have issues with people coming thinking that they can go walk on the beach in Brunswick as a place to go. I will be reaching out I have already had discussion with RCMP on this, but we'll talk about the enforcement later. But I think that we have, subject to anything that would surprise me at this point, I expect that council would desire that Brunswick Beach be closed as well, and that my direction will be to ensure that we have all means of disposal to carry out that direction.
Thank you very much. And so this, and I think, so this is the Brunswick Beach, and then there's the village-owned property of Brunswick Beach below. Let's combine the two of them. And
yeah, pretty simple. We just sign it as closed at the access points and enforce it with our BEOs and the RCMP as required.
there we go. Thank you very much. Councillor Abbott, you're first up.
Yeah, I think that even as said before, as CEO just said, I think we want to do what we can to find a way to do it and close everything down.
Good. Thank you very much. Councillor Bain.
Agreed.
Agreed. Councillor Barmier.
Yes, I agree.
Councillor Cunliffe.
Agreed.
And I am the same, we're unanimous on that. Tennis court, next up.
So the tennis courts normally don't open until mid-May, and Public Works has a lot on their plate. They're too slippery to even open the gate and let people play road hockey or anything on them. Could have injuries, etc. And I suggest that we just keep them closed until the time of the usual opening and reassess where we're at that point.
Good, I'll take that lead, and how about we make this an operational issue and presume it's closed till you come forward with us? Would that be fine?
It's fine by me, subject to any other comments.
All right, let's go. Councillor Abbott, concur?
Okay, I'm okay with that. That's the easiest way to do it. I was going to say it's closed until further notice, be that mid-May or whenever, but in case this goes on longer than mid-May. But we're fine. Yeah, as long as it doesn't get
So
out.
concur, thank you. Councillor Bain?
Concur.
Thank you, that's two. Councillor Barmier?
I think we should have staff back here and not make them sort of the bad cop. We should be sending the message loud and clear that we're not promoting people congregating. So opening a community space like that is sending a message that you can congregate on the tennis court, and I think it's inappropriate.
Okay, I tell you what, we'll go back. Councillor Abbott, having heard that, what's your view? Closed?
Changed.
Unchanged?
Closed, yeah.
Closed?
Well,
Councillor?
closed, if there's any doubt. Yeah.
Closed period. Closed period, forget about May.
No, I think any way you slice it, it's closed until further notice.
Done.
Is what I'm.
That would be fine with me. Closed till further notice. So Councillor Abbott, you're of that view?
Yes.
Councillor Bain?
Close till further notice.
Councillor Barmier, I know you're there. Councillor Cunliffe?
Agree, close till further notice, and if you could respond in the village update that after consideration of maybe potentially opening earlier, it is deemed that it is not in the public's best interest to suggest that we open earlier. We will reassess at the regularly scheduled opening.
Okay, well, thank you very much for giving me that job. Okay, perfect.
Well, you brought it up.
So,
Now if we could bring up something else. Okay, thank you very much. We're all on side with that one. And the CAO, the media release, I've seen the draft. I know you're going to amend it, so that'll circulate when you're finalized.
yeah, but, so I made some comments about, the intent with that. And I'm assuming that everyone will be on board with that intent. When we execute, we're still working on exactly what channels we're going to put that through, but that will be a work in progress, and it'll be, I'm hearing loud and clear that it's Lions Bay is closed to all recreation, don't bother coming, and we can talk about other aspects of that, but that's the primary message, right?
That would be the full meal deal.
I strongly support that message.
All right,
Agreed.
and I think, let me just check for a second, because Peter did send, I think you did, to, unfortunately just to me, I've seen the prep of the media release. It reads very nicely prior to this meeting. And so far, all it reads is that citing the lack of healthcare and other resources, the village has closed the Lions Bay Beach Park, including playground and washrooms. And clearly, it's going to be expanded to parks, trails, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, thank you very much. So that concludes that piece of the agenda, which is number 5A, new business. Unless CAO, you have anything else you want to do on that one?
No?
Thank you very much. There is no public, there is no questions, no comments. Is there
Can I
any?
just have a comment on the media release? Do we have understanding of the timing of that? And I'm wondering, is there two things? Is there one thing that we follow up straight after this meeting to the village through our normal means, telling them what we've done, and then if the media releases, then you're going to happen, Thursday or Friday's news time or whatever. At least we've got back to residents earlier.
Actually, Councillor
And I would
Abbott,
offer to assist with getting that done if it's necessary.
Councillor Abbott, if you hold that thought, I think your issue is primarily about content, which we pretty much hammered down, subject to Peter putting it in writing. It's your about issue of time and release, is that correct?
My suggestion would be that when we're ready to send the media release, we also send out a village update release, whether, as soon as we're ready to go. So if we're ready to go tomorrow afternoon to give the media outlets sufficient time to get on the 6 o'clock news, we are also sending to the community, summarizing the nature of this meeting and attaching a copy of the media release and making it clear to our residents that council has spoken and the village is closed.
Just again for the CAO, we're at the readings, the finals come on Thursday. Are you proposing to send this out tomorrow if you had the opportunity? In advance of Thursday or subject to Thursday?
Yeah, I think it doesn't have to wait until council adopts changes to the bylaw. We're telling the public, the general public, that we're closed, don't come. And if you do come, by the time you come, we'll have the tools to enforce against you. So don't make it hard for everybody, just stay away.
Good, and thank you. Thank you very much for that excellent reply. And I, for one, would be in favor of an early, Ian, tomorrow to the media and to the public via the village update, which I guess is stitch and paste on it. But thank you very much, and I believe everybody else is of the same view. The sooner we get it out, the better. And there we go. Is there concurrence on that?
I concur.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you very much. Councillor Abbott, you're good? Thank you very much. Okay, back through there is no public here, and I think we've got this down. So, CAO, is there any other item for the reason for the closed meeting and the community charter piece that goes with it, or are we good as it is?
I think we're ready to go to close.
Good, all right, thank you very much. For those of you who shouldn't be here, which is nobody, you should leave. Thank you. Closed council meeting. Proposed topic for discussion in the absence of the public is A, enforcement consideration for closures of lands and facilities that the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the conduct of an investigation or enforcement of an enactment, that the meeting be closed to the public on the basis of matters to be considered more under the following sections of the community charter. Items number 90, 1, F, I, and N. And council does not anticipate reconvening the open meeting for any purpose other than to adjourn the meeting generally and report out if applicable. I would like to presume that we're in the affirmative. Everybody would agree, and those opposed advise.
Agreed.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Everybody else, good? Anybody opposed? Okay, we're passed and we are in close. Here we go, we are live back in the live session for the meeting of November the 24th. And we are reporting out from the topic of the closed meeting. And we are reporting out that Council discussed the options for closure of lands and facilities, discussed enforcement options for the closures of land and facilities, and a motion was put forward and passed that Council requests the CAO to begin the employment of the bylaw officers at his convenience, and the second that the Council requested staff to amend the draft budget accordingly with respect to loss of revenue and the hiring of the bylaw officers. And that's the reporting out. Can I have a motion to close? Thank you, Councillor Bain. Can I have a second from the conference calls?
Second.
Thank you. Gentlemen, and Jimmy, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Carla, you can nip that.